It looks like, guys, we are live. Yeah. Welcome to another edition here of the NarikChase channel. I am your boy NarikChase, and in this video, we are going to be talking about one of the age-old questions. Which one of these video game franchises is better, Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row? Now, I admittedly have stuck with Grand Theft Auto a little bit longer. I was introduced when I was playing the second Grand Theft Auto. I played the third one. I played Vice City, San Andreas, the fourth one, and of course the fifth one. Now, I'm a little bit more limited with the Saints Row, perhaps because Grand Theft Auto has been out a little bit longer. But I have played the second Saints Row, the third one, the fourth one, and the Gat Out of Hell. So, for those who do not know, these two franchises are both open world franchises, and a lot of the activities and storylines do involve, dealing with gangs, gang violence, and criminal enterprises and things like that. But there are great stories to be told, immersive worlds to explore, as well as interesting characters, which both series do have. Now, what is Grand Theft Auto? Let me go ahead and look that up for you guys so I can be more accurate with my description of the series. Woo, that dehydration that gets you every single time. Most games, the Grand Theft Auto series is action adventure open world game, and most of the games in the series are set in fictional locations. There are more of standalone stories, although they are somewhat interconnected. The game primarily focuses on players choosing missions to progress the story, which, again, each game of the Grand Theft Auto franchise focuses on different protagonists who attempt to rise through the ranks of criminal underworld, although, the stories and motivations and personalities do differ. Most of the antagonists are, characters who betray the protagonist or the organization, or characters who have really big, have made impact impending decisions on the player's life. Now, on the opposite side of this, we do have the Saints Row. Now, unlike Grand Theft Auto, the Saints Row does follow the same characters, which is this gang called the Third Street Saints. And it's normally about these characters just going, dealing with other gangs, dealing with the government, dealing with just crazy stuff as they try to expand their empire. Now, the question again is which one of these series is better, Grand Theft Auto or San Andreas? Let's go ahead and hit these hard-hitting questions. Now, if we're going to go by the terms of the actual stories, I would say that the stories are, I feel like, because of Grand Theft Auto's unique style of each game being its own little standalone, I think it does have a bit of an edge over what we have here concerning the Saints Row. I think that makes the stories feel like they're a bit more cohesive because they are standalones, and many of the things that are going on in one set isn't brought over to the next, and you don't have to worry about just like overall consistency of characters and story. So I believe that I will say I think Grand Theft Auto has the better stories. One of my favorite stories is, of course, and is a very moving one, is what we see in San Andreas. And in San Andreas, you're following Carl Johnson, who ends up getting out of the gang life, but gets called back into it after the death of his mother, how his gang has basically just been disbanded. He has to try to get revenge for his mother and find out who killed her. He has to try to save his friends. It's a very compelling story, and it's really moving in some parts as well. Grand Theft Auto 4 features Nico Bellic, who is this Russian guy, this guy from Russia or something, and he's just been through all types of atrocities. He comes to America to leave that life behind him, and even his story is very meaningful. It does have some emotional depth to it, especially with concerning some of the characters and the decisions that you make that affect their lives in the overall story. Tommy Vercetti is this guy who got set up, and now he's trying to uh, find the people responsible for setting them up while creating his own empire, and it's just the stories are just really good. Now, to some extent, they do feel a bit more repetitive, which I will say that Saints Row does tend to change the formula up a bit. I mean, hell, all three of the games basically follow the same characters, even though new characters are introduced and other ones are taken out. But it gets really diverse. Now, in that diversity, I think it does get. I mean, the series has always been over the top. Has been over the top, but in the later games it does get a little bit crazy, and I think that takes away from it a little bit because the second game has a lot of great storytelling to it. The third game and the fourth game and Get Out of Hell do take away from that. Though there are interesting stories, they're not as compelling as what we see in the first and second games here. And I hadn't played the first game, but I did see a little bit on it. So I'm going to make my references from the second game. But the second game did have a really good, better, compelling story. But having said that, I would say because of how consistent GTA has been with their own little worlds and own little stories, that actually overall stories will go to the GTA side of it. Now, in terms of the actual characters, it's definitely hands down both, because both have a lot of great, interesting, and awesome characters that you can interact with. They're all freaking awesome. Everything from the main protagonist all the way to just the bad guys, and even plenty of the fucking side characters are just memorable. They're fun. I really enjoy just the characters on both ends. I like the fact that I think, even though I do like the characters, this one's a little bit more harder for me to decide, because on one hand, GTA has a lot of great, memorable, and awesome characters. Even characters that end up dying off, you feel for them and stuff because they're awesome. You don't want to see them die off, but at the same time, those are all in one game. But with Saints Row, a lot of these characters you follow, you get to see their evolution, you see them change. And that's something that I like seeing. I like seeing that. So it makes it kind of hard for me to actually pick up and say, okay, well, these cats have a better roster of characters. I mean, you got Johnny Gat. Gat is a fucking insane ass character. He's just like this daredevil guy. Shondi's this chick that was just real chill in part 2, and you meet her in part 3. She's really badass, and the bitch is fine as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But on the other side, you got Carl Johnson, probably my favorite GTA character. This man that's gotten out of life and he's got pulled back in, and I like that about him. Tommy Vercetti, Nico Bellic. I can't really say Claude because Claude really didn't say anything, and I don't like characters that don't talk. I think that's kind of stupid. Catalea, one of the most intense and interesting antagonists in the damn series. You know what I'm saying? So, and even with Saints Row 4, the main villain, Zinyak, I think that's what his name was, the alien, he was really entertaining. Yes, it didn't make any sense, but he was a really entertaining and fun villain. It was really memorable, and I thought that was pretty awesome for the series. So, on both sides of the fence, like I said, I like both. I like the rosters for both of them. I like seeing the characters from Saints Row they evolve in the relationships and stuff that they develop and build. Hell, some of the bad guys from one game end up following you as one of your friends in the next game. That's one of the reasons I like Saints Row 4, because a lot of Viola was a bad guy in 3, and she ends up being your friend. The one nerd guy was a bad guy in part 3. He ends up becoming your friend, your ally in the 4th one. So it's really interesting, the characters and stuff that they go through and the evolutions of these characters. And like I said, I do really like the characters from GTA as well. I like seeing them. They were awesome. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Nico's cousin was one of the most fucking frustrating ass guys I've ever met in the damn game. But even in GTA 5, Trevor's one of my favorite characters. The dude was awesome. It didn't give a shit, just like this tough redneck that just didn't give a damn. I love the guy. The guy's awesome. So there's just a lot of characters on both sides of the spectrum that are really memorable and just great to get invested in. They have a lot of great moments, a lot of great lines, and you'll definitely love the relationships on both sides. That's one of the things I like about GTA 5, you got the three main protagonists, and I like the evolution of the relationship that these guys end up developing together, despite the tension that's there. So I really like that. Hell, Michael, I like Michael. I like this family. His family just dysfunctional, just group of people that just fucked up, but you actually end up liking them, just caring about them, even though they just crazy. So just on both sides of the fence. And hell, Saints Row, Kenzie. I love Kenzie. She's one of my favorite characters on Saints Row. Just this crazy, smart ass chick that just crazy. But like I've said, on both sides of the fence, and you know what? I can't mention antagonists and villains and anything and characters without mentioning Officer Tenpenny, played by the awesome Samuel Jackson, who just gave that character life and just ran with it. Like I said, on both sides of the fence, the characters are just freaking great, and I can't really decide which one is better. So between the characters, both sides of the fence are just there. Now, if we're gonna go with the gameplay, I'm a bit tied up on this too, because in one breath there's a bit more of a realism that's handled in GTA. I love the realistic world. I love the rules. I love how it just feels like, you can just do anything that you want to do, whether it's eating, and in San Andreas you get to swim and work out and eat and deal drugs and stuff like that. Not that I'm like doing anything like saying do that, but hell, you can even have freaking girlfriends in the game, which ever since San Andreas it kind of branches out even more. But there's also the open world exploration aspect, the combat, as well as cars, and being able to customize cars and buying homes and property and earning money. And there's a shit ton of collectibles that you can find in the game as well, which I can say Saints Row has adopted as well. In some aspects I think it works better. Like one of my favorite things about Saints Row that GTA doesn't do is you like the navigation system. And you don't even play a GTA game, you want to navigate to something, you actually have to watch that little mini map thing, which gets fucking annoying because you keep having to constantly take your eyes off the driving. If you want to admire the scenery and stuff, you can't really just sit there and admire that. But in Saints Row, wherever you want to go, it'll actually point it as you're driving, so that way you're not having to take your eyes off the road. And I really appreciate that. Now, also another thing that they adopted in that's actually in Saints Row, which I think is good to a certain extent, is the perk system that they have, where you can increase your durability, your strength, your speed, the power of your guns, like things like that. I think are awesome, and I think they're fun. And it kind of goes into the overtop nature of the Saints Row series. And I'm glad that GTA doesn't really have that, because it would kind of take you out of the realism of the game. So there is a realism versus actual over-the-top aspect that could be considered, but I'm not going to really talk about that. However, one of the things that I will say that GTA 5 ended up taking a page out of Saints Row's book is the fact that you can level up your abilities and skills, such as driving, gunplay, and flying with the main characters. Also, I think, in San Andreas, it was actually the ability to also increase like your stamina and stuff like that. So I think that's actually pretty good. But I think hands down between the two, I think both of them have really good mechanics. The open world is done exceptionally well. I will say San Andreas is probably the biggest one, next to if not 5. So if you want to go with the open world aspect of it, which that's going to be a category in itself, I'll say open world. Sorry, write this down because I don't know what I'm doing. But if we're going to sit here and actually take into account the actual gameplay, I think both of them have their unique gameplay style, and I think it does work for those two games. Even when you take in consideration like the superpowers and stuff that are introduced in Saints Row 4, how you travel, how you fight. In Saints Row 3, you get that hover bike thing, which is fucking awesome. One of the best flying mechanics in any damn game. Which also brings up Gat Out of Hell, where you get to fly, and when you actually learn how to do the actual flying with the diving and the gust and stuff like that, and the thrust and all of that stuff, and how that actually works, you can get across the map like within like a minute, and it's just fucking fun. So I'm a little bit torn, and I want to give Saints Row the edge because they did step out on a limb and with these new mechanics, these interesting new mechanics. But I will say I give it to both of them, because even without all that flying and crazy stuff, GTA is actually it's very grounded with its gameplay mechanics, and it does feel very sound. So in terms of the actual gameplay, I'll say both. Now I think GTA has this next one, and this is pretty much the open world aspect. Now, when I say open world, I mean like the diversity of life, how active it really is, all the things that you can freaking do and stuff like that, the limitations. I really think that GTA kind of takes this one, and mostly because what was introduced in San Andreas was brought over into GTA 4 and capitalized in GTA 5, where you have this grand world where you get to explore mountains and stuff like that, and swim and fly and stuff. Yes, you get a bit of that in the Saints Row universe, which specifically I would say Saints Row 2 had probably the biggest and best developed map. To me at least. Maybe Saints Row 4 had a bigger map, I'm not sure, but I really like the diversity and grounded feeling of what Saints Row 2 had brought to the table. But I would say because of how consistent GTA has been with its maps and how detailed it is, and even though I would say that the little mini games and stuff, and which I guess I should separate that as well, but I'd say the diversity of things that is presented in the world and open world exploration and stuff like that, I would say GTA definitely did it better. San Andreas took it to the next level, but I would say GTA 5 is what definitely pushed it over the edge. So let's go ahead and say GTA definitely takes the cake on that one. Now, if we're going to talk about graphics, this is another thing that's kind of, it's very hard to actually kind of pinpoint how I'm going to play this out because of how great the games have been developing over the long time. Now, I would say Saints Row probably had the better graphics, mostly because it came out a little bit later, and graphics are better. The best GTA game that I played so far pretty much is 4 and 5. But Saints Row, from Saints Row 2, 3, 4, and 5, graphics are actually really good. And I think they're handled pretty well, even when it comes to the actual, like the cinematics and stuff like that, the details of the landscapes, the special animations for the characters as well, the frame rates and things like that. The actual overall background schemes, the actual environment itself, whether it's raining, the wind blowing and stuff like that, I think they're all handled effectively enough to actually make for a very good game. Me personally, I think the level of detail is, and this is pretty much a really hard one to call, and I guess I'm not really sure. GTA does show a bit of realism, which makes for a more interesting and immersive looking world. But at the same time, Saints Row actually does have good graphics for what it goes with. You know what I'm saying? Like the world itself is really detailed and everything. But I guess this is one I would say, because of their respective universes, I think the graphics work well for them. And I'm not sure if I will watch, if there would be like a Saints Row game where it looks like this realistic look to it. Although I'm sure if they were to make another one, I think that would be a good direction to kind of step in. So I guess I would say more. I would say GTA on this one. Now let's talk about the score. I think the score is handled really well in terms of both franchises, especially if you listen to like the radio or something like that. But I only reason I want to give Saints Row this one is because of just like the great missions and the music that plays in the different missions and stuff. And some of them are kooky, some are corny, some are cheesy, but they just lend to that overall fun and entertaining feeling of the game. And not to mention, it got me listening to that. Saints Row 3 got me listening to that song "Power" by Kanye West, and it was fucking awesome. So ever since I played the game and I like that song, I'm like, yeah. So I think both of them do have great ones. They have really good songs, especially when you switch over to listen to the radios and stuff like that. Just makes for some really good music. And even when it just comes to like the day to day things and the activities of the days of the cities citizens and stuff like that, I think it's just handled really well. And I'm kind of on the fence about this. Like I said, I do like the music that just starts jumping off, and the way the music is handled more towards Saints Row, but I do like the grounded music that's actually in GTA as well. But I like the fact that both of them have really good soundtracks in their games, and they feature some popular songs as well. So this one, I'll just go ahead and give it to both of them. All right. Now, in terms of the actual replayability of these games, I would definitely hands down give it to Saints Row. Yes, yes, there's a lot to do in both of them. The open world exploration, the tons of collectibles and stuff. But I do think that the way Saints Row has handled this, when in terms of the collectibles, buying property, all of them weird missions such as the insurance scams, the waves that you have to fight, the what was it, the total destruction things, the Mr. Genkai things, the gang affiliated wars, award things. Just all of that just completely just knocks out what GTA has. And I'm not saying GTA doesn't have things like that. You can have the girlfriends, you can buy property. There are sports. I think golf was one of the sports that you can actually get into in one of the freaking games. There's driving missions. There's I would say heist missions, but of course there is there's the problem with that. So I'm kind of on the thing with like the music, but that there is a lot of the open world aspect. And there's a lot of things to do, whether it's of course, driving the cop car and arresting people, the firefighters, the ambulances, the taxis. You can kidnap people, prostitution, drug deal. So there's a lot to GTA when it comes to replayability. But I just personally think that hands down, Saints Row definitely takes the cake on this one, especially when you're trying to upgrade your different abilities as well. Grow your strength, grow your speed, your jumping and stuff like that, which is further enhanced with the superpowers in GTA 4, as well as what we got at Gats Out of Hell. So I would say definitely replay value definitely goes to Saints Row. And yes, both of them you can get more into the harder difficulties and stuff like that in terms of gameplay, which actually works. Now let's get into the online aspect of it. I personally I'm kind of on the fence about this because I played GTA Online. I think it was pretty fun, but it's one of those games like you have to have like a whole bunch of online friends to actually freaking enjoy, which you can't always do sometimes. So when it comes back over to the Saints Row, you can actually play with a friend, and y'all can just go around do missions together and just be fun. And GTA has that as well to some extent, but I think mostly it's with the online aspect of it. I have to give it to the GTA. Yes, I don't play the GTA Online like that, but I have to say that because of how popular it is, and even with my experiences with it, I didn't really have a problem with it. But I can't ignore that, playing Saints Row 3, playing Saints Row 4, and playing the multiplayer, it wasn't a bad experience. It was actually pretty cool, and it was really fun as well. So this one I'm kind of on the fence about as well, because I don't really particularly enjoy online games like that, but I don't mind the cooperative play. So I'm going to go ahead and be in my mind, I'm going to be fair and just give it to both of them. They both have an online aspect, and for what they do with their online aspects, they both work really well. So both of them do have it. So, I guess that's actually it. So when it comes down to the final verdict, it looks like GTA does win over Saints Row. And it's mostly due to the graphics, due to the open world, and due to the actual stories. So, all right then, guys. Looks like we've had it out. Saints Row versus Grand Theft Auto. Which one is your favorites? Also, in the comment section below, let me know which one of these franchises are awesome. Do you like one or the other? Do you like them both? Did you agree with my points? And have there been some things that I overlooked? I mean, you could probably say like DLC, and some of the DLC from what I played with Saints Row is actually pretty fun. And I haven't really got too much into the DLC of what Grand Theft Auto got, because if we're going to go by the DLC by Grand Theft Auto got, which is nothing but like skins and shit like that, and cars and stupid shit like that. And you got the Battle of the Gay Tony, but you know what I'm saying, actual DLC and stuff like that, I would say definitely that Saints Row definitely takes the DLC department, but that still is not enough to put it ahead of the GTA. So guys, yeah, let me know which one of these is your favorite, and let me know why. Also, be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and the notification button to get the best of what we got going on this channel. And stay tuned, guys, for another head-to-head next Friday. And we'll definitely catch you guys later. Narik and company is out. Although it's pretty much just me.